So, UnitedHealth CEO shot dead outside New York Hilton in suspected targeted attack. Yet the most interesting part is how people are reacting. And if you're living under a rock a little bit lately, you may have missed the part that ever more people like to sharpen their guillotine online very openly, I might add. I think I just felt an ever so slight rumble as billionaires across the world collectively puckered their buttholes. There are only so many billionaires in the world, and they have an active role in the decline of our society, I'm just saying. And by the way, we are working back to the present, so this is 5 days ago, on anti-work. 10 million a year to tell us our claims have been denied and our healthcare systems are now out of network. I'm so surprised. Police chief, and the suspect so far. Homicide detective. Well, chief, the victim was a ludicrously rich CEO at a major American healthcare insurance company, so that should narrow it down to about 40 or 50 million people. Was only a matter of time. Someone's coverage probably got cancelled or claim denied. Surprised it took this long for one of them to be murdered. They also had massive layoffs this year and a huge data break that they are super shady about. So the police is closing in apparently 4 days ago. Police tend to match their effort in direct proportion to the victim's network. Oh my god. If they killed a random no one, this would be that news. When you try to claim the 10,000 for turning the guy in, they will probably deny your claim. Oh yeah, they're offering up to 10k to help with the capture. I have to admit, I chuckled when I heard warnings to the general public at the press conference. Like, does anyone actually think this guy is a threat to anyone other than the guy he just took out? I guess if the streets there are lined with greedy CEOs, they should probably be afraid of him. Wait. Interesting that the news outlets are not allowing comments on these stories. I guess they don't want people to see that people have who have suffered because of this man and his company are not in the least bit upset at him meeting a grisly end. When you do indirect violence, that is just business. UnitedHealthcare Group turned off comments on their Facebook post about this, but it's interesting that 43,000 out of the 48,000 reactions are the laughing emoji. I strive to live a life where the Facebook post about my death less than 5% laughing reactions. And keep in mind, we are not reading some random Reddit, but the actual news with 30 million members. Was the CEO of United responsible for their harmful policies? I'm seeing a lot of people being okay with the CEO of United Health being murdered. Some would argue it's still not okay to murder the man, but I'm not trying to debate the ethics of it. I'm wondering how much of a hand he had in the policies, like the algorithm to find providers and patients getting too many services and refusing to distribute them. He definitely had a hand in implementing and executing these policies, but wouldn't it be board of directors that drive these policies based on financials, or do they just not care how it's done and demand profits? I honestly think this is a bad take. Because, like, if he's not responsible, then who is also not responsible? There's gotta be a lot of people. Even if you are at the very bottom of a shady corporation, shady organization, we cannot just say that it's not you. Suppose you became a soldier for food and invaded countries just for whatever, for food, I guess. Would you be exempt from any responsibility just because you're taking orders, or you have reasons, in this case food, just for doing it? I would say I did it for the money and I needed the money is not good enough. Technically, the CEO of a company is responsible for everything a company does, as he is the head of it and is in charge. More realistically, he would set certain metrics that need to be met, like higher profits, and people under him would figure out how to do that, most likely involving not paying for insurance stuff, and he would sign off on it and yes, do that. He's not directly making policy, but telling people to make them and then deciding which ones get the green light. So, words found on shell casings. Delay, Deny, Defend is a book about shitty healthcare practices. NPR likening UnitedHealthcare CEO murder to violence against healthcare workers. Yeah, it's important to spin it well. Also, what could be the potential outcome here. Suppose this guy get caught. Can you really put him in a courtroom? I say that's too dangerous for society. But if he doesn't get caught, then that's also pretty damn dangerous. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get caught in like 2 weeks. The powers that be might just find a patsy. Yeah, comparing a doctor to a scumbag who denies children cancer drugs didn't sit right with me. Literal opposite of a healthcare worker. Yeah, that's a good point. So disappointed by the story that had a whole section on what a nice guy he is to his friends, and nothing about the fact that he's dedicated his career to being a social parasite who enriches himself on the death and suffering of others, all for profit. Health insurance is evil, but even by the standards of his industry, this guy had it one of the worst. Healthcare workers hate insurance companies. They have to see the face of suffering patients and families when insurance denies them coverage. Health insurer shares fall after United Health exec murder. This could also be a good business strategy. Just after opposing CEO while also shorting their stock. Why are health providers allowed to be publicly traded? They will always value profit over care. This needs to stop. Yeah. Why is the media coverage of the UnitedHealthcare CEO so weird? I don't know anyone who has strong feelings about this killing. If not vaguely, oh well, it happens. I feel like I'm losing my mind seeing the media coverage. I get constant updates from every news app I have. The news spins it as a cold-blooded murder on the loose terrorizing the streets. As far as we know, the general public has nothing to fear. You have to keep in mind that who owns the news, right? It is important. I guess even in normal cases, you would not hear good things about murders. But especially in this case. They say he might have left New York. I don't feel scared or concerned at all. And neither do any of my friends or colleagues. Maybe I'm in the bubble. Why is the coverage so weird? Why this specifically? Nobody knew who this man was before a couple of days ago. Yeah. You gotta keep in mind that there are a lot of criminals out there who are possibly even violent against the general public. Yet this guy is painted as the menace. He ran a subsidiary of the 9th largest corporation in the world. He was targeted for assassination, not randomly mugged. And the big question on many people's mind is whether this is a picture of the future. Have American insurance companies or even corporate America in general gone so evil that this is how people will start responding? I'm a little bit careful to suggest this, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're all just sitting back wondering if this was an isolated incident or if the class war just kicked off. Well, the thing is, we already had the power kick. Liberté, égalité, and fraternité, except in American accent, 235 years later. It would be interesting if school shootings dried up and the shooters drifted over to shooting CEOs who have been ripping and robbing the poor and the middle class for decades. I bet we have gun control in no time. Oh my god. Yeah, but also the rich are living in gated communities and possibly building themselves fortresses and bunkers. Interesting. Given the reactions on the internet, this will likely happen. Why shoot a bunch of kids and be hated as a scumbag when you can shoot one rich fuck and be lauded as a hero? Even if you do like a successful mugging, you're gonna just set for life. I've been mulling this over. Most shooters settle for infamy because they think they have no other option. Maybe they will realize there is. A high-profile CEO is shot dead in broad daylight, NIC, in front of witnesses, as presumably a statement on US healthcare, and it's been 3 days without an arrest. Yeah, if it was some random Joe Schmo, no one would care, right? This happens all the time. It's the perfect cocktail for a story to get a lot of clicks and views, which is really all the news cares about. I'll admit, I'm interested in seeing what happens with him. I'm sure the sympathetic tone is just general procedure for news stations, also to not upset their own CEOs. Our media is also run by billionaires, of course. They identify with the CEO and not the frustrations of the people. this. If you look at who owns the media and who makes money of healthcare in the USA, there's a lot of overlap. They are trying to bend public sentiment that this is a bad thing, and it's not working. The reality is that the average guy cares about the life of a CEO and the billionaire and the multimillionaire as much as the multimillionaire and billionaire and the privileged guy cares about their life. It was one of the real people who got killed, not one of the peasants. Yeah, if it was one of the peasants, no one cares. The other real people just got a shot of adrenaline from realizing that there are hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of wealth, corporate veil of immunity, and buying off the politicians is enough to completely shield them from vigilantes out to hold them personally accountable for the hundreds of thousands of peasants they've casually killed for the sake of more profits. Yeah. It is important to recognize all forms of violence, because most of it would be indirect. And sometimes the violence is direct, but is legal. In this case, it's illegal and definitely a crime. But still, if it wasn't the CEO, wasn't some bigwig, then no one would care. I'm not advocating for violence, but this plus the attempt on Trump a few months ago should put a lot of people on notice that they aren't safe just because they are rich. Yeah. If anything, that makes you a target. Again, not advocating for violence. You're extra sure, mate. 8 monsters. I wouldn't ever want someone to murder another, but I'm also not gonna shed tears over the death of piece of shit. Okay. I wonder how many of these 1%ers have retreated to their bunkers for a few days. There's probably gonna be some distraction. Yeah. Or a lot of distraction for a few months, and maybe things gonna ease up. The thing that makes it feel weird is the general public is just not accepting it, especially when it's being sold as a cold-blooded murderer who did the bad murder on the dad who loves his wife and kids, not as the CEO of that company that likely fucked you at least once and got shot. Yeah, there's definitely some spinning here. We get that it's a person, and we get that the murder generally is bad. It's just he's not exactly a likable figure. He's a part of an organization that has legitimately hurt large swathes of people, and you don't exactly see this sort of attention paid to any other case. Yeah. It comes off as someone saying attention should be paid to the rich. The real news in this case would not be what they are saying, but how they are presenting. If murdering one person is bad, how evil is it to kill many thousands of people by denying them needed medical care? That's indirect. That's fine. That's all fine. That's a lot of why the public reaction is what it is that the victim was a murderer too. Media is owned by the class who is terrified of this. The revolution will not be televised. Because the rich own the media and desperately want you to care. How many people are killed in New York and there's no nationwide manhunt? It's because he was rich. And we all think they can collectively fuck off. No one's worried. This is the real answer. The people who own the media run in these circles, and all the rich people are upset by it and are shocked by the way public is reacting. They genuinely don't understand how much they are hated. Yet if you just perceive some of them, then they might be even falling to their own myth that they are heroes, because they are kind of how they are celebrated in capitalism, that if you're rich, it is because you're a good person. For real, what pisses me off the most is how much money is being spent tracking down the shooter relative to how much the NIPD and now the FBI would give a fuck for anyone else. Yeah. The police don't invest resources like this for people who aren't worth billions, and you expect me to give a fuck? Yeah, the people are paying for this. You are paying for this. If some crime happened to you, you would be lucky if the cops even show up. And even if they do, that's probably going to be the end of it. They just show up and leave, and never to be heard again. Media is trying to desperately brainwash people into thinking this is not okay. But finally, it doesn't seem to be working. I'm tired of the media manipulating everything. I'd feel more scared if I was insured by UnitedHealthcare than of the shooter. I saw a headline that said NIC on edge, and all I could think of was bullshit. No one in NIC is living in fear because of this. Maybe the 1% are, and that's all that matters. To be fair, New York is a pretty rich city. There are a lot of rich boys there. But still, this shooter has better taste. The weirdest thing is that the bullet casings were etched with the words deny, defend, and depose, related to tactics insurance companies use to avoid paying out on claims. Why is that weird? I thought it was pretty clever. Yeah. You're seeing the veil slip. The media are not representing the news of the people to the people. They are presenting the world as the rich want you to see it. A rich dude was targeted. They want you to see that as horrible. Because it matters when it happens to the rich. Sit down and pay attention, peasant. This and trying to push the narrative, this is terrible. To convince the peasants they shouldn't do this. The rich run on the media. Yeah, if it was just an isolated incident, I guess it would be more okay. But this might give people the wrong ideas. Seems like a bunch of people who have felt powerless, controlled, and fucked over by the wealthy just went, oh wait, that's an option? Okay, that changes things. Yeah. Like it or not, this really just entered public perception and unlocked a few ideas. Don't misunderstand, I'm not sure how I feel about this murder, but I do understand feeling like we are getting fucked in the ass, and now it's even more open. Nobody even believes the BS anymore. Corporations and wealth are not on your side. You're a fodder for them. Everything else is just lies and manipulation in the service of that. The media is attempting to walk a fine line. Police solve less than half of all murders on their own, so they want to raise awareness to help them solve the case. On the other hand, this case is steeped in legitimate criticism of a clearly broken and abused system that is killing poor people so the rich can profit. Yeah, but suppose you even put this guy in a courtroom. Wouldn't that be extremely dangerous for the system? So the more they talk about it and the motives behind it, like they usually would, the more angry people are getting about the system. So we are watching in real time while they move the goal stands, or whatever the phrase is, to fit their narrative of the poor innocent CEO gunned down by a wild maniac and try to downplay the real circumstances being raised by this incident. Not sure what news you're watching that spins it this way. I live in an IC and people are here practically celebrating. At work today, my coworkers were openly discussing whether there's any way to support the assassin. Oh my god. The media is owned by the rich, and the rich are terrified by this killing. Up until this point, there had been no relation for the ruling class running society into the dirt, at least in America. Retaliation, my bad. They all thought themselves as untouchable. Now they feel very tangible. Now, to be fair, all it takes is just even like a few guys having the wrong ideas, and the game is over. And if most people started having the wrong ideas, the game would be super over. The media is going hard on the cold-blooded killer angle because they're trying to convince people to hate the murderer. It's even more terrifying to them because the general consensus to this killing is good, he deserved it, and not, oh no, murder is never the answer. Both sides of America's culture war are united on this. It's obviously way too early to know, but this killing could be the first shot fired in the class war that has been brewing in America for decades. They're shit scared it might start a trend. There are many number of rich arseholes who need killing, they think. The media is run by filthy rich people, just like Brian Thompson, and they are defending their own. At the very least, this murder should be treated just like the rest, right? Why is this guy so special? If he got this kind of coverage every time someone got shot, I think more people would be okay with gun restrictions, bans. Yeah. We need gun control now. Instead of school shootings, can this be the new norm? Now, please, until society improves. How do you distribute the score? By money or something? Nothing scares the rich more than the plebs rising up. Imagine you live in a country that's run by the drug cartels. They own all the media in your country, and they maintain a steady stream of propaganda about how the cartel leaders are job creators and visionaries who represent the best your country has to offer. Yeah, and if you're in that environment, you might not even realize how much the regular Joe hates you. Then along comes a lone gunman who lost a loved one to the cartel's machinations and kept one of their lieutenants. How would you expect the media to report on the story in this situation? Health insurance companies are cartels. Fuck them. And fuck everyone who runs them. They literally deny medicine to babies just to make a little more money. Of course, murder is wrong. Everyone can agree on that. But at the end of the day, Brian Thompson got off easy compared to what he deserved. The media hysteria over it is just propaganda. He was rich. It's very wrong to kill a rich person, unlike a peasant. For one, UnitedHealthcare spends $100 million on advertising. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. Because how dare they kill their masters? And in this case, we're covering basically every single comment on the one of the most popular subreddits. I just don't think he's a likable guy. Neither did his wife and kids. Neither did the major investors he screwed over. I haven't seen or heard a single person stand up and give a heartfelt defense of him. They all talk about the act. The news organizations are owned by the billionaires who are concerned this might catch on and they may be next. Hence the different viewpoints from news versus social media. It's been interesting to watch. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. Neither have I. I guess I could recall the submarine incident. That was different. But people didn't much care about saving some rich guys at the bottom of the ocean because, like, there are so many other people who were having a bad time. Like, why is that a priority? Over 50 homicides per day. Yeah, but this one is important. Alright, we are finally moving on. UnitedHealthcare CEO, shooters, meticulous planning has helped him evade police so far, experts say. He's laughing? Wow. This reads like any true crime doc where the serial killer is on the loose for 25 years because of planning and being a genius. Then you find out that the documentary producers fund the guy living within the walking distance of every murder he committed. Yeah, but I don't think he can be on the loose though. He's too dangerous as a symbol. Multi-billion dollar surveillance state versus one guy in a hoodie. Is it too early to declare hoodies as overpowered? Assassin's Creed was far more realistic than I gave it credit for. Yeah. It does also look kind of casual. America's Least Wanted. Imagine them trying to find an unbiased jury. Jury nullification is real. The jury can declare not guilty even if he did it, but feel the law shouldn't apply. It would be a real wake-up call to all who exploit the weak and vulnerable. That would be crazy, though. Yeah, that's kind of a unique American thing. So suppose you did this. You might just totally get away with it, even if you get caught, because everyone just thinks you're cool. So they don't have the weapon, or his name, or any kind of money trail. They're not clear where he came from, or how he left, or where he was going. But they do have some trash that may or may not be connected to the crime scene, and they are aware that the perpetrator has facial features and a smile. Good work, team. Dude looks like everyone I've ever met. Man, woman, dog, cat. It's crazy how he looks like everyone who has ever existed. Yo, FBI, my intel says he's Muad'Dib, the proletariat al-Gaib. Bro, that's Timothée Chalamet. He's in everything now. Brian Thompson shooting. Monopoly money found in New York helps CEO gunman's backpack in Central Park, US News. This money must symbolize the monopoly UHC has created with its over 150 subsidiaries comprising pharmacies, hospitals, hospice, and insurance. Love the commitment to the bit. Police still have no idea of the gunman's name, whereabouts, or motive. The rest of us have an idea of his motive. And this is the latest topic. Manhunt for the UnitedHealthcare CEO killer meets unexpected obstacle. Sympathy for the gunman. What a shock that everyone hates an industry of middlemen that profits off robbing and killing Americans seeking healthcare. If it makes money, it's right. In every news article I see about this, nobody's addressing the immense harm that insurance companies inflict on the people they are supposed to help. Every article highlights that he had 2 kids, but none mention the children of those whose parents were denied life-saving care. What about the families torn apart by denied claims and bankruptcy? What about the kids who lost a parent because profit mattered more than people? But of course, the narrative can't shift to acknowledge that. Wouldn't want to risk garnering sympathy for the shooter, would they? It's almost like the media is owned by people like Thompson. They don't want to lose their advertisers. Many are cozy up with media CEOs. They all go off and go to the same private club together. And the cops are here to enforce the status quo, not protect us and serve, as they say. Class war! GMS said it was an urgent manhunt. The fuck it is. People are murdered every day and most don't even make the news. This murder of a rich, greedy 0.1%er has all the execs sleeping a little less comfortably this holiday season. In their bunkers, I guess. I got curious and looked at NIC crime statistics. They average about 1 murder per day. And the clearance rate is abysmal. Yes, and no one cares, right? Even if every other person murdered in NIC this week is a pimp or gangster, they still have less blood on their hands than that CEO. Literally the same day as the CEO, someone got killed for not speaking English in NIC. No reward posted. Police haven't said there's any suspects. To me, it sounds like maybe that guy who did that murder is more of a threat. Lol. They don't even hide that. Why the fuck anyone thinks the police are there to help the people instead of protect them is beyond me. It makes me happy, hopeful, and proud to be an American. This is what the country needed, and I hope there's more to come. The news headlines should be saying, serial killer who puts Charles Manson to shame by killing hundreds of thousands of Americans was gunned down in New York City, to the cheers of Americans everywhere. The fact that there is a widely circulated video of the shooting and people still want this guy to evade capture is telling. Also, the ineptitude of the NIPD and the mayor is a bit entertaining as well. The fact they claim to know his name, but they won't release it? Sure. They know his name, claim they shouldn't release his name, and they're looking for a guy that smiles and only really have a backpack full of Monopoly money. Yeah, they don't have anything. Other thread got nuked. When you drop the culture war, you can see that Americans across the board are really similar. This is why they want us divided. This is probably the most united I've seen Americans since Osama bin Laden was killed. It's because the main underlying war is classism. The rich understand they have to make everyone else think it's mostly about left or right, or liberal versus conservative, or man versus woman, or black versus white, or religion versus religion. And in that war, a class war, the rich would have no chance. Ben Shapiro had a video, like, left is rooting for the murderer, and comments were like, nah bro, it's all of us. And you're showing your true colors right now. It's because he's rich. Yeah, but there's gotta be more to being on the right than being rich or licking the boot of rich people, right? Not just that, as one of the commenters on that video noted, it's because his entire business model relies on getting us normies to hate each other. He's a servant of the oligarchy, dividing us with a culture war to keep us angry and disoriented and distracted from our real oppressors. He's also the CEO of his media company, Daily Wire. No war but class war. And I'm not cherry-picking these comments at all. I'm just reading from top to bottom. I will never forget my brother having to deal with UnitedHealth. 3-month-old son who ended up having NEC, which is necrotizing enterocolitis. It's a life-threatening gastrointestinal disease that affects the intestines of newborns. And what they went through just to make sure he survived had to be airlifted from one hospital to another. Laurie's in Chicago, where they spent over 3 months saving my nephew's life. Incredible stuff there. My brother's gets a bill for $1.2 million. UnitedHealth said that they wouldn't cover it because he didn't have a prior authorization to go from Silver Cross to Laurie's in a helicopter. a 3-month-old with a life-threatening infection, and they have no issue denying a claim like this and leaving a family with over $1 million in medical expenses. Fuck United Health, fuck insurance companies, fuck this guy and his algorithms. They can all fucking rot. I don't give a shit. Maybe people are starting to realize that the biggest problem isn't what bathroom 0.01% of the people choose to use, but rather that 0.01% of the people control everything in your life. I hope this is a watershed moment that changes the relationship between us and them. Sadly, I have minimal hope. It used to be kings and serfs, now it's billionaire CEOs and the working poor. The human race always defaults to economic status that results in oppressing the majority. It doesn't mean we stop trying to change things, but it's a slow road and requires constant vigilance to keep moving forward instead of backward. I'm sorry to say, but realism kind of sounds like defeatism. This absolutely can be done. And this is the golden opportunity. That rarely comes. Mainstream media is breaking its back trying to not look completely captured by corporations and cover what is an overwhelming groundswell of, yeah, insurance fucking sucks, his life was probably destroyed mood. To be a lesser evil voter, if you really think about it, the blood of hundreds of thousands was on this CEO's hands. Yeah. And indirect violence, indirect suffering, is the same thing as direct one. If I went around causing untold suffering, but I didn't kill anyone directly, they only technically died to their poverty and sickness, I doubt most people would care. To make the difference, I suppose. I've been loving every minute of this. I hope other CEOs are scared. If you're genuinely surprised by the public reaction, you're probably eligible to be the adjuster's next target. This is only unexpected by the rich oligarchs. The working class is fed up. I wish the shooter the best and can't wait for the movie to come out. I've spoken out of my ass more than a few times, but if this shooter is ever caught, that he'll never be brought for a jury trial, yeah, that's a really good point. And if he's brought to trial before a jury, there will be an extensive smear campaign against him long before the trial even begins. Allegations of everything. Personally, I'm betting this guy will either never be identified or he'll be killed during the arrest. Yeah, that's not good either. They're just gonna smear him after. Best case scenario, he never gets caught. I mean, just for the guy, I guess. But also, it wouldn't surprise me if they caught a guy, right? Even if it's not the same guy. If he's never found, he'll become a minor legend, like D.B. Cooper, with various folks popping up over the next 60 years, claiming to know his true identity. Yeah. I think that cannot happen. Yeah, he will be found, even if it's not him. They're gonna find someone. If he's killed, there will be a smear campaign to dispel any notions of nobility about him, right? The very last thing the powers that be want is for this shooter to become a martyr or a folk hero. Billionaires are off limits. I'm not saying anyone deserves it. I'm not saying I'm involved, but he's directly put my family in danger with feed dragging and network bullshit. In those times, he has taken thousands and thousands of dollars from my family in tech denials over basic survival. An unthinkable amount of families have experienced far, far worse financial strong-arming, actual injuries, and far too many deaths because of UHC policies. There are loved ones missing because of the decisions UHC made in the boardroom. It has to stop. It's not that I want him to get away. I'm just not going to lift a finger or go out of my way to help. I sure didn't get any help or slack when my family needed it from them. And yes, this is terribly selfish. I'll just say it. I do. Brian Thompson killed more Americans each year than Osama bin Laden did in a lifetime. Not for some ideological reason. Not because he was wrong, but not because he was fighting a war. Not because he was on some deluded quest to protect his homeland. But for the pure naked greed and profit alone. Billions and billions of additional dollars that UHC raked in profit each year on the misery of Americans from his policies. Brian Thompson killed thousands upon thousands of Americans and bankrupted thousands more each year for his own personal enrichment, the enrichment of his board of directors, and the enrichment of UHC shareholders. Sure, what he did was technically legal, but that doesn't make it morally right. I don't personally see any moral difference whatsoever between the adjuster putting him down and SEAL Team 6 sending Osama to the big pineapple under the sea. I'm not sure you can make a difference between direct and indirect violence. Because for once, an actual asshole was a target of random killing instead of school kids. A dystopian system of checks and balances. Stop allowing people to perish for profit. Problem solved. They need a reminder that there are more of us than them. Yeah, but this is not gonna lead to, I think, easing up. But this is only gonna lead to stomping harder. You're not gonna see, like, UBI the next week. What we're gonna see is, like, more propaganda. Well, I don't know if I'd call it unexpected personally, but you do you. Maybe the writer is surprised by the sunrise, possibly baffled by the existence of traffic on the Long Island Expressway, blindsided by the idea of toast. It's only unexpected to them. Imagine how amazing this country would be if we all had the gumption of the guy who put down this rate of a CEO. I'm not saying I want to do anything like he did, because honestly I don't. I wouldn't want to kill anyone, but if I watch the person I love most succumb to a perfectly treatable illness because some psychopath in suit denied medical coverage that we were paying for, I might very well change my mind. It's not sympathy for the gunman, it's extreme frustration with the system that caused a gunman to murder the CEO. I feel sympathy for the gunman. Look at art. It's not sympathy, it's admiration. Yeah, they got like many pictures. I just checked it out of making the gunman an icon and what he stands for. All of the elitist Yale legacy fuckwits at the VSG didn't expect this. He deserves the sympathy. It's high time CEOs and the like are held accountable for their heinous actions. Let's be real here. The US is a country where only half of the homicides are ever solved, and homicide is so common. The only reason this one is new is because it was an extremely wealthy white man. It seems pretty clear Americans are ambivalent about homicide at the best of times, so getting anyone to care about this one was a losing battle from the start. But it'll be pretty wild if one or two more billionaires get immersed and suddenly the US government goes hardline gun control. That would not surprise me, but it would be really hard to enforce. Health insurance is a scam. How was this unexpected? They're out here calling this man Robin Hoodie. There's a reason for that. Is the whole industry, every CEO, is part of the problem? Sympathy? The guy's a hero. I love how the news thought everyone would be extremely disturbed by the murder. The last coverage I saw still described the shooting as heinous. Sure, keep using those sort of adjectives. Your overpaid teleprompter readers, I'm sure, will really falling for it. The wildest thing I've seen from all this is tons of conservatives openly admit insurance companies are evil and broken, and if they aren't clutching their pearls, might even admit the CEO had it coming, but in the same breath declare a Medicare for all system is somehow worse than communist. If America really started sharing, it could become a legend. Even if the guy is caught, who's to say the jury won't commit jury nullification and let him go? Yeah, that would be just brutal. Also, would give him a lot of attention. If this guy's caught, I doubt he will survive long enough to be tried. Even slandering him is not gonna work out. The odds of finding 12 people agreeing to convict are pretty high, kind of like getting an insurance company to pay out a claim. Yeah, they can just rig the jury, I suppose. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I'm not necessarily saying that a jury would vote that way or another way. Just saying that if they rig it, then they can certainly guarantee an outcome. I wouldn't be surprised if some in the force are secretly rooting for the gunman. Yeah, that's a good question. There are people who join the police, and I would never be one of them. But it would be naive to claim that they're all rich people bootlickers who like to beat up poor people. Some could be just naive and like try to do some good within what they can, but almost certainly you're gonna be faced with some choices, at which point you have to either give up your career or do as you're told. Are you gonna give up your career or just gonna beat up some poor protesters who are complaining about not having enough money? Sympathy for the killer shouldn't be unexpected. The CEO was in fact a mass murderer, an absolute monster, an immoral man in an immoral industry. The only ones disillusioned by public glee at the death of a parasitic piece of crap are the other 1%ers. I still don't get Americans. They all seem to anonymously hate health insurance companies who take away people's healthcare. Yet the majority also voted for the party that's going to repeal the ACA and got Medicare. So which is it? Is it sympathy for the gunman or lack of sympathy for the victim? This is a copycat type scenario I can get behind. Even before this, I saw this many times on the internet. As I said, I saw a lot of people sharpening their guillotines. They're just a little shy. Unexpected my ass, they're trying to real hard to curb the sentiment. I say let it grow. I'm real tired of this bullshit. There are a lot of people who need to be reminded of how much they have taken their fortunate life for granted and how fragile that life can be. Unexpected. The media really has a finger on the pulse of society. There are hundreds of murders every year in every major city. Why is there a national-wide manhunt now? Alright, this deserves more attention. NIPD could offer a 10 million reward, and I wouldn't turn him in if I knew who he was. At this rate, his odds of becoming president are going up. But do you know what is not expected? Manhunt using up tons of law enforcement and media resources because he's a billionaire. Meanwhile, regular murder victims will never get a fraction of the amount of work being put into this case. What I noticed about articles like this is that they always get a quote from some law enforcement veteran who expresses that they are shocked, troubled, concerned about the public's unwillingness to help get this guy caught. Is it really shocking that people aren't going out of their way to help catch the killer of someone indirectly responsible for countless deaths himself, and deaths in the name of a profit at that? Hail profit! Alright, last one. Unexpected by out-of-touch media and rich people. Many of us have been waiting. I hope he's just the first of many.